just because of the lockdowns in Victoria ending and Tasmania opening up their borders. It's bigger than that, isn't it?
It is much bigger than that, Jake, because we're alive and we're on this pale blue dot as Carl Sagan once said. This pale blue dot just floating around on this pale blue dot, and that's a wondrous thing. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Is it a miracle? A miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle.
All right, I need a definition. What do you define as a miracle, Greg? Over to you.
A pen that works.
A set of Apple EarPods that you pull out of your pocket and are not tangled.
Yeah, or charged these days, Jake. Charged.
Oh, of course. Yes.
No one uses.
The tangly ones. They're the ones that come.
What do you call them? Cords.
Nobody uses the ones that come with the phone.
No one uses those, Jake. They don't even put them with the phone anymore. That's how much people don't use it. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Oh, you got the brand spanking new. I just got I got a. Is it an 11? Yeah, I got an 11. 4 weeks ago.
Why you would do that? Anyway, all right. You got to talk to me first. Welcome to the Pouch, ladies and gentlemen. This is we are an Australian news and politics podcast, but today we're going to do a good news episode.
Yes, we try to do one of these each month.
We do. We try and fit one in once a month. We missed September because there was just no good news.
There was,
that's right. It was just terrible news all around. And we're getting the feeling November will be much the same. So we thought we'd squeeze one in for October.
Well, there's so much good news.
I'm Greg Savage. To my left or right, depending on which side of the screen you're watching this on, is
Jake Farwarton.
Jake Farwarton. Nice. How are you, Jake?
I'm pretty good. I've sustained or endured or enjoyed. There we go. I've enjoyed a full day of work today.
Yes.
And I've just finished up, and so it's been a tremendous day of work today. I got lots done. I love nothing more than a Monday where you just do so much. Get all of the things. Everything was lined up. Everyone attended the meetings that I needed to attend. Got all of the stuff done that I needed.
This is not true, Jake. You're not allowed to lie about any of this.
Productive Mondays. There's nothing better.
No, you can't lie to the listeners, Jake. You can't.
The other option is that you have one of those unproductive, boring Mondays, and they end up going for 16 hours longer, perception-wise, than you'd have hoped.
It lasts the whole week, doesn't it? Now, Jake. For those of you who are wondering why we do a good news episode, I do have some research here for you, Jake, to just warm everyone up, to realize, this is not just. I mean, we're doing a service here, Jake. We're doing a civil service here.
Yes.
Okay, so I like to do a bit of background research for these sorts of episodes, not the other episodes, but these ones I do. Scientists in Norway did a test on 32 monkeys. Now, 16 listened to good news. Okay, the half that listened to the good news, the 16 that listened to good news, were statistically more likely to be able to find their way out of a maze. Those who listened to bad news are still in the maze. Jake.
Currently, to this day. This raises more questions than it does answers.
That is the story of my life.
How do the monkeys? How do they differentiate between the ones that heard good news and understood the good news, and the ones that heard bad news and understood the good news, versus the ones that heard the good news and had absolutely no idea what was going on? They just heard some spiel and then went and did the friggin' maze and got through it.
Well, they made it out of the maze, Jake.
Yeah,
So they're the ones that understood the good news.
I'm deeply engaged in this research.
Astronauts on the International Space Station who listened to good news were 14 times more likely to look like Sandra Bullock and George Clooney than Buzz Aldrin.
Oh no.
And in a survey of 634 people, those who identified as listeners of good news were at least 10 times more likely to be able to identify the name of the current ACT Chief Minister. Which is, of course,
the gentleman, the leader of the Labour Party,
Andrew Barr.
Yeah, Andrew Barr.
Yeah, Andrew Barr, of course. Anyway, so there's some scientific reasons for you to listen to some good news. Yeah.
Well, apart from that, there's never there's never a bad reason to listen to good news. I mean, it's uplifting. It's positive. I think we started the good news episodes after, so I think we were right in the throes of the sports rorts scandal.
Yep.
And we were just being introduced to coronavirus in Australia.
Yep.
And we thought, wow, we're being saturated by so much, we'll call it bad news, that we just need to lighten the mood.
It's got to be out there. The good news has to be out there. And some good news, Jake, for Victorians today.
Indeed, yes.
It's a good news. It's for the first time ever. It's a good day to be a Victorian.
Ever. History of Victoria. Look, it was twofold. Well, actually, it was threefold. Number one, the Melbourne Storm won last night.
Oh, that's
which was great. Good old Cameron Smith retired. Captain Cameron Smith retired. He's a Queenslander, reasonably local to me. I met him a couple of times. He's a really nice guy. And aside from that, this morning it was the first day without a new COVID infection since June the 9th.
Donut Day, they call it.
Donut Day, as they were calling it. They had no new cases and no new deaths. And on top of that, one of the health officials said that there was roughly 15,000 tests that had occurred in the last couple of in the last couple of days that were associated with that cluster in northern Melbourne. But aside from that, the Premier, Dan Andrews, the subject of your favourite pillow,
he is.
He came out and said we're ending the worst phase of the lockdown, and we're changing a few of the rules. We're lightening the load a little bit, and that's going to take effect from Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. To take effect, obviously, on Wednesday.
It's so nice. He did. The Honourable Daniel Andrews MP released a media statement. And it just starts off by saying 0. And it says the last time Victoria had 0 cases was 9 June 139 days ago. Even more incredibly, it's 0 cases off the back of a huge testing drive. Over the course of this weekend, we asked Victorians living in our northern suburbs to get tested. They did just that. In 24 hours, we have been able to process an additional 14,024 tests, 3,196 of which were positive. No, 3,196 of them were from those communities. This morning, they processed an extra 1,157, and not a single new case has been found. My argument, Jake, is that the tests are faulty. They got them from the same place ScoMo got his blow-up shark.
Yeah. Well, it's possible that they were using Andrew Twiggy Forrest's test that he brought. Oh no, it was it Clive Palmer or Twiggy Forrest that brought in? I don't know. It was the rapid tests. Anyway.
Oh yeah, the rapid tests.
But yeah, look. I think that's tremendous. One of the health officials this morning was saying that they're finally happy with the community tracing efforts that they have in place. They're finally happy with the testing numbers that are being undertaken, and so look, it seems that they're safe to come out of the worst parts of their lockdown.
Yep, absolutely amazing. Congratulations to Victorians. And for the record, we're all in this together, so you have to thank us as much as you have to thank your fellow
Definitely Victorians. You need to be thanking Queenslanders.
Now, Jake, that means I don't have to send mail down to Victoria anymore. I can go and visit them, which I don't know what I'm going to do with this pile of mail that I've got for my family who's down there. But I still might send it, and in which case I might need a stamp. And there's a firefighter who is on a stamp. Is that right? This is some good news for this particular firefighter.
I think people need to realise that there was very little effort, but that went into that segue. But it was, at least as far as I can tell, but it was masterful, sir. It was absolutely masterful. It was excellently done. Yes, the Country Fire Authority of Victorian the chief of the Victorian CFA, has been put on a stamp.
Right.
So essentially, yes, a well-known water tank painting of a CFA volunteer has been turned into a stamp. The brigade's captain is hoping it will help drive recruitment for their ageing volunteer base, which is that's happening all around Australia. Any of the volunteer fire organisations definitely have an issue with an ageing population there. He says that there was a drop off in interest after a spike following the summer's bushfires, and you can totally understand that considering some of those firefighters were working for over 100 days straight.
Yep.
Yes, the brigade's captain, Russell Ellis, said he did not know why Australia Post chose the painting. But that the local water tank that had the painting of his face had become a tourist attraction since it was completed by the Australian artist Guido van Helten in 2016. Wow. Quote, "It's been a big deal. There's been a surprising amount of visitors to the site," he said.
Oh, that's
Man,
incredible.
a few words.
I am trying to find this. I'm trying to find it so I can bring it up. I couldn't find it in time, so sorry about that to everyone. I'm terrible co-host.
Well,
you'll have to imagine it. Describe it to us.
Yeah, it's a classic painting of it's a portrait. It's black and white. It's got it's
Where have you found it? You didn't put a link in the thing.
Yeah, sorry about that. It
no,
was
right.
ABC News.
Oh, is it? Okay.
ABC News, good news section.
Yeah. Okay.
I shouldn't have said that because it's that's the it's a main area we find our good news.
Is it just a large? Is it on a tank?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I think I've got it.
It looks like a grain silo.
Yeah, well, a small grain silo.
Yeah, small. It's a big water tank, I think.
Yeah,
but it looks like
water
a
tank.
silo.
Yeah, okay, all right. I think I might be able to bring it up. I've got to get better at doing this anyway. So let me see if I can just drop and drag this over. Whoa, can I do that? Does that work? Yes. There you go. Look at that. So does he have a large? Like it's like mostly nose. Is it that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah,
I think so. Well, I think the mostly nose part is just one
both our faces
section.
now. But yeah.
Just if you go around the corner of it, there's less.
There's more ear.
There's more ear.
I think I got it. All right, there we go. I've got it. I'm going to put it between us, Jake. There we go.
It's about amazing. Time.
Technology. How good is it?
It's good. It's good, I've heard. Although it was the technology that responded and said it was good.
All right. Now, Jake, for months, Australia. Speaking of bushfires.
Yes.
Speaking of bushfires, today marked the day that the lightning strike started the Gospers mountain bushfire, which was huge. One of Australia's largest bushfires. Didn't get put out until like February 2nd, 2020 or something like that. So raged for months and months and months. Now, this story is about a frog.
Yes, a frog that's been found.
We know that trillions of frogs were lost in the last lot of bushfires.
I think it was roughly 200 billion animals, including insects, that died, or it might have been more than that, 400 billion.
But trillions.
Yeah, exactly, trillions. I woke up on Saturday morning, ready to go for a run, and I was struck with a little bit of deja vu that, there was a tremendous amount of smoke outside, and I thought, oh my God, it started already.
Yep. But then we had a weekend of rain, so
we
great.
did indeed.
All right, so they found a frog.
They did, yeah, for months. Australia's catastrophic bushfires were feared to have wiped out a particular frog species amongst many other animals, flora, fauna. But there is now a renewed hope for the future of the threatened giant burrowing frog after ecologists uncovered almost 330 tadpoles in ponds in Maramingo Creek in East Gippsland in Victoria. To their surprise, the ecologists also heard and spotted adult frogs in the forest areas near the tiny Victorian town of Nowa. It's very exciting.
It is. It's a very cute frog, Jake. I'm going to bring this up on the screen as well. It's a very, very cute frog. Here we go. I'll bring it up on the screen there. People can see that now. It's the giant burrowing frog. Look at that.
It's an adorable frog. Although most frogs are adorable little creatures.
But he's got like quite a a rounded belly.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's had a bit of a feast, bit of a feed.
Okay.
But it spends a lot of its time underground, which maybe speaks to why it has that floppy skin, the big bulbous belly.
May also speak why it's able to survive fires.
Under the ground.
Under the ground. Yeah, not a lot of burning happening. You don't go too far down.
No. No.
No.
This isn't
That is
wombat
some good
territory.
news.
It is.
Yeah.
And we also heard a little bit of good news from Tassie.
We did. I forget that they exist sometimes. So it's nice. That's my good news, is that I just
It's
remember
not
that they
so much
exist.
of a coincidence that you say that, because I think they also want it to not exist sometimes as well.
Well, they just sort of wake up and they're like, "Where are we again? What is this? You have to.
South
you have
Victoria.
I wait for the day when I cause offence by not causing where I live, mainland Australia. You know, like we're on the mainland.
Yeah.
And they're on the island of Tasmania. What's the good news, Jake?
Well, it's quite good news. They've opened their borders to most of...
the other way.
Well, maybe a few extra people on there might be all that it
Tip it over the edge
to sink into the sea. Yes, Tasmania has opened its borders to most of mainland Australia, marking the first time in 7 months that people from interstate can arrive without having to quarantine. The island state on Monday today reopened to coronavirus low-risk jurisdictions of Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia, the Northern Territory, and ACT, as well as those people coming from New Zealand from within the Trans-Tasman.
They're going to be part of the Trans-Tasman bubble, are they?
Well, eventually, yes. Yeah.
Right.
Eventually.
I'm just bringing up a map of Tasmania on the screen, Jake, for people to see so that they can
appreciate.
Appreciate
its nature.
Its beauty. Yeah. I just learnt that I can actually just drop and drag it straight from the internet.
Oh, fantastic.
That's great.
Oh, that worked well.
Yeah, it worked out. Well, there we go. There's Tasmania, ladies and gentlemen, just so you can see that. And there's also a key down the bottom here that will show you how it fits into Australia as a whole.
Yeah, like a lock and a key. They've spent, interestingly enough, they've spent the last 70 days without recording a new case, of course, because their borders are closed. But yeah,
so is that the same as sort of Western Australia and Northern Territory? They're sort of all zero cases forever.
Western Australia have been recording new cases. They're mainly imports.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they are new cases.
And what about Queensland? Why were Queensland able to have the football last night and just like as if nothing was happening?
Well, mainly because the people who came in to play the football, and we also had the AFL Grand Final on Saturday afternoon.
Selfish.
But they were able to have it because all of the players and coaches and the teams support, etc. They locked down for 2 weeks. They quarantined in resort. They had resort. You've heard of hotel quarantine.
But what about the crowds? The crowds were just like nothing was happening.
Diminished crowds. So it's diminished crowds. So essentially, they enabled a situation where they could have appropriate social distancing. I think that the total amount of total crowd that you can have in some of the stadiums is something like I don't know, 30,000 people.
Yeah, right.
And I think they were way down. They were like at a third, if not lower than that.
Okay. What with Tasmania, Jake? I've got up the best things to do in Tasmania. What do you think?
I love there are two places that I love there. And last time I went there, I was in the middle of a massive project, and I was totally burnt out and I needed a holiday. Right, so. First place we went was Mount Wellington, and it was just amazing. The snow had just started. It was just absolutely incredible.
Okay.
And then we went out to the country, and we went up to Cradle Mountain, and we spent about a week and a half there. It was snowing. I went for huge, long cross-country runs, and I had zero phone reception. Yeah. So I was completely uncontactable. It was one of the greatest holidays that I've had in recent history.
Not really conducive to doing a podcast, but that's fine. That's fine because you're not going down there anytime soon, which is good. No. Okay. All right. Well, yes, I lost the page, so that's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, this is what happens when you're trying to do.
They got Baghdad down there.
They do have a Baghdad. I've been down there a couple of times, and I love it down there in Tasmania. One of my favorite places to be, and it's just great. It's just great. Anyway, there's a map.
It is just great.
It is just great. Yeah, Mount Wellington is number one. Here we go. Mount Wellington is number one. Maria Island National Park is number two. And the Cataract Gorge Reserve.
The Devil's Blowhole, which was super amazing to watch.
Nope, not on here.
What was the prison area?
Oh, Port Arthur.
Arthur.
Yeah, Port Arthur's great.
We spent a day and a bit there, and it was awesome. We did a ghost tour.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that. Yes.
It was fantastic.
Was
Just
it?
one
Did
of
you
the
get
best.
scared?
I don't really get scared, no.
No.
With that sort of stuff, but no, no, but it was amazing to. I mean, I love good storytellers, and they told just amazing historical tales of the first of settlers that were imprisoned in there, and the various things that happened to them, and the stories that are attached to them now.
Oh, very, very. All right. Well, number 4 is the Antique Emporium. The number 4 thing to do in Tasmania is the Antique Emporium in Devonport.
Yeah. I somehow think that
not a
you
good sign.
found an interesting website.
It's called TripAdvisor.com.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
The Don River Railway is number 5.
They've got a really interesting modern art gallery there as well.
No, not on the list.
Cradle
Mountain's number 13, so there you go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cradle Mountain was just fantastic. Look at the Overland Trail. I ran part of that. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was snowing. It was snowing, and I got to run through. It was just fabulous.
Well, it sounds like, Jake, we should plan a trip down there to do an episode down there. That'd be great. That'd be good fun.
Do it in
fun.
person up on Cradle Mountain. No reception.
Yeah. Next week, apparently.
Let's do it.
Now, very good news. Very good news. Cow-themed knick-knack collection sold to Riverina Dairy Farmer. This is great news, Jake. I've been waiting for this one. Yeah. This is great. This is about a couple in Cootamundra.
Yeah, I was really upset to find there was no price tag on this. I looked and I scoured and I couldn't find a price tag, but I was very interested. Yeah, look, there's a couple in Cootamundra. They've used social media to sell their 500 cow-themed ornaments that have been collected over more than a decade. They say they were super keen to sell it, but they didn't want to break up the collection.
Were they moving?
Oh, Greg. That was a good little pun.
Thanks.
The collection includes milk jugs and cups and soft toys and clocks.
Yes.
There's a sprawling collection of black and white cows. And they've been bringing cheer to this family, the Gavin family, for decades.
I've got it up on the screen. They can see it. There you go. Some cows.
It's quite interesting.
What did they do? They sold the whole lot.
They sold the whole lot to one place, a dairy farmer in the Riverina area, down in Finley.
And you couldn't find out how much they paid for this.
No, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the total price for these 500 items. Greg, have you ever walked into...
I don't know why they would sell them.
Well, that's it. It was taking up too much space. It's too big of a collection. They're like, we've amassed too much stuff. We've deprived the world of cow-themed things.
I'm going to bring up another picture.
We've collected it all. But
maybe
Greg,
that's it. Maybe they just sort of felt like they had enough.
Mate, it's very possible. Look, I've seen too much black and white.
How?
I want to move into chickens now.
No.
They've all got to be yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're gonna start collecting other animals. start collecting Hello Kitty stuff.
Have you ever had the experience of walking into sort of an interesting person's house where they have an entire room?
I don't have any interesting friends, Jake. So I don't.
I can recall walking into my grandmother's house, and she had a collection of. Actually, it wasn't my grandmother; it was her friend. Anyway, we walked into their house, and they had a collection of these porcelain dolls. And I mentioned earlier with regard to the ghost tour, not scared at all. Gotta admit, I was a little bit scared about the freaking weird porcelain dolls that just stare blankly into your soul.
I can imagine, especially the ones that just like you can move around the room, but they just look like they keep looking at you. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe they got freaked out by all the cow stuff.
Maybe, absolutely.
And they were just like, we gotta.
You know what? What I think happened was that the husband said, "Honey, you need to move on."
All right, we've milked that joke, Jake.
Hey.
Let's move on to the other story. Yay! Ah, dear.
Right.
All right. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. I didn't know you could get so many cow paraphernalia. Look, I'm bringing it up on the screen now. There's things that are unopened. Gosh, they took good care of them, didn't they? I think there's a fair few egg cups. Definitely a lot of cups.
Cow-themed egg cups.
Yeah, there's frame. There's a picture frame. There's a water bottle. Yeah. Anyway, good.
You think there'd be cow-themed stakeholders or something like that? Keep it in the animal.
All right, done. Okay. All right, now, Jake, we were wrestling with that story for a little while.
We certainly were, yeah.
Would you say?
Segue there. I would say.
Thanks. We were wrestling with that story for a little
We're
while.
certainly wrestling with the puns, yeah.
This is all about an initiative. Now, we talk a lot on the serious show, on the weekly serious show, the not so serious show. This is the far less serious show, but the not so serious show, we talk about problems or solutions towards youth crime that don't involve curfews and lockdowns and things like that. Positive, community, spirited programs where youth are engaged with the community and feel a connection to the community rather than ostracized and excluded from the community. Easier said than done. However, Coffs Harbour in Queensland is leading the way.
Well, they're certainly forging a new path.
Yes, trailblazing. You could say.
Trailblazing, exactly.
Yes.
They're wrestling with the issue of youth disengagement and crime. Yes, a police force youth command initiative in Coffs Harbour in New South Wales under the Rise Up strategy has been designed to engage kids who have become disengaged and aims to prevent offending behaviour. The program run by police officers teaches kids martial arts and fitness in order to engage the kids in positive relationships with police, which is an important thing, as you say.
Sure is.
As well as teaching good behaviours around fitness, body positivity, diet and nutrition, and indeed, quite importantly, managing aggression.
Yes.
Now, central to the program is the building of more positive relationships with these police and other youth within the community. And it's essentially forcing them to wrestle with each other, to learn martial arts.
Yeah.
Now, one of the kids in the program, Jarius, was disengaged with school, and after a run in with the law, was offered a chance to wrestle with the police. He says that the opportunity has turned his life around. Quote, "I got into trouble at school. I got in more trouble outside of school. And that's when Kevin came and helped me out." Referring to the main police liaison officer. I think it was Kevin Wright.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's such good news, isn't it? Like, it's such a good way for people to just make those connections with each other and for the community to realise that police don't have... I've always admired that about our Defence Force or about our police officers in Australia. Like, you know, the Defence Force can go around the world and be a force for good rather than a force for war or anything like that, or destruction. And so good to see the police taking a little bit of a leaf from that book as well, and to start making those positive connections with the community. What a way to change the perceptions of a whole generation, which is fantastic. I've brought up a photo on the screen of a police officer wrestling with a gentleman by the looks of it, a youth, and I don't know, and yeah, it looks great. Lots of pictures on that one. We'll make sure all the links to these stories are in the one below. Now, Jake, I've got some good news as well.
Oh, fantastic!
You're gonna do it. You can do it? All right, come on in, Ruby Tuesday. This is Ruby Tuesday.
Hello, Ruby.
Hello. You got to make sure you can come in so that we can see you. Have you got some good news, Rubes? Yes? All right, bring it over here. What's the good news? Oh, we have a puppy. Is that the good news? Hey? Is that the good news? Now, what's his name?
Banjo Patterson.
Banjo Patterson. What a great name for a puppy. Hey? What a great name for a puppy. What do you think, Banjo?
He thinks, let me
very
go.
Good. He's
Let
very
me
good.
And it's his birthday.
It's his birthday. Yeah, his 3-month birthday, not his 1th birthday.
Not his one.
Do you have a message? No? All right. Anyway, that's our puppy. That's our good news. He had to make an appearance.
Look.
Oh, you got a message? All right, you got to come into the screen. You got to be able to see. Look. No. This is not your show. You have to speak. Go.
You have to say 5 meters away.
1.5.
1.5.
Are you telling
Yeah.
people to stay 1.5 meters away from each other
Yeah.
while you're standing next to me?
Yeah.
What else do people have to do with their hands?
Wash them.
And
Hook like chickens.
Sneeze into your
and sneeze into your elbow, wash your hands, and stay 1.5 meters away. Yep. And if you're Victorian, what do you have to do?
Collect the eggs.
Collect the eggs. All right, go rack off. Go on.
Hi.
Get out.
She's having a great time.
So there you go. Yeah. That's the good news. Anyway, so we have a dog, and his name is Banjo Patterson, and apparently occasionally he's cute.
He's adorable.
He is adorable.
Adorable dog that really wasn't so happy with being lifted up.
Which is funny because occasionally he's quite happy with jumping up. So he can take many forms. Dear me. All right. Well, what do you think, Jake?
Look, I'm happy to call it. There was one other story which was interesting, which I can touch on.
Touch on it, Jake. Touch on it.
It'll be a really quick one.
Is it the pineapple one?
Yeah, the pineapple one.
Okay,
There's a couple of pineapple farmers, Phil and Kay Smith. They're at Yangaree, which is west of Maryborough in Queensland.
Yep.
They were smashed by a mini tornado. From a storm supercell that swept through their place and totally wiped out their farm. And 2 years later, they're harvesting their first crop, or their next crop of pineapples, and they're saying it's a real bumper crop. It's really done the job. It's done exactly what they needed, which was to provide them with enough pineapples to sell and eat.
Yeah, it says here Mr. Hawken borrowed $180,000 to build a new shed, buy new equipment to keep his business going. That's through those low-interest loans for Queensland Rural and Industry and Development Authority. Nice to see that there's some good news stories associated with the government as well, Jake, considering I don't know whether or not Apple News thinks that all I want to read about is corruption. Or if all that's happening is corruption. I don't know. I don't know whether or not it's the algorithm or whether or not it's just it's what's happening. But I think I'm confident. I've got a picture up here of Phil and Kay Smith. They say the storm was the worst they'd ever seen in their 36 years on the property, so they hope it will be another 36 years before anything happens again. That's right. Pineapples are quite big in Australia, aren't they?
They are, particularly in Queensland. Oh, man.
Huge.
We've got some great pineapples.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing better than tropical North Queensland pineapples. I freaking love it. Go up to Townsville, stop on one of the fruit vendors across the, that are just on the side of the road, get 4 kilos of pineapples and then just feast on them. Yeah, they're great, so sweet, delicious. Oh, they're the best.
Some interesting facts here about pineapples in Australia, Jake. Where we export pineapples to New Zealand, Korea, Japan, and Indonesia.
Good.
In 2018, how many tons do you think we exported of pineapple? Fresh or dried?
Oh, well, you've added dried in there, so...
you got to redo the maths.
I'd say 1,000 ton.
No, you were right the first time.
2 tons.
Well, 3. You said more than 2.
3 tons.
3 tons. That's not a lot.
Well, I suppose if you consider that each pineapple.
That's just to New Zealand. Sorry,
okay,
that's just to New Zealand.
I was going to say. So each pineapple must be about 300 to 500 grams, I'd say, because they lob the top off. Yeah.
So you actually try and think about things. If someone asked me how many tons
of
pineapples
pineapples.
I would not even try and backtrack. I would not even try and backtrack about that. Anyway, there's a pineapple and levy charge, of course. It was introduced in 2009. Yeah, pineapples that are produced in Australia and used by the producer in the production of other goods, or that sold or processed, or that are exported, will attract a levy or charge, Jake. So keep that in mind at all times, okay?
Whenever you're selling pineapples to New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah. Horticulture Innovation Australia Limited is responsible for the expenditure of the pineapples levy and charge.
All right. Well, I, for one, am glad that we got to the bottom of this one, Greg.
Oh, we did. We did. We did. And as an exporter of pineapples, you must keep records for 5 years, showing for each quarter or levy year the quantity of fresh pineapples exported, amount of charge payable, and amount of charge paid.
That's interesting because most businesses have to hold on to their records for 7 years.
No, not pineapple growers, Jake. We want to encourage people to become pineapple growers.
Yeah. Also, it's a lot of paper.
Well, it is.
So it makes a lot of sense, you know.
It is.
You don't want to clog up the sheds with too much paper. Those extra 2 years.
Well, that's right. There's less room to store the pineapples.
Exactly, and we're talking about tons here, Greg.
Of
We're talking about
paperwork.
tons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wrap it up.
That's it. I'm good. Are you good? We're good.
I'm good, Jake. Once the pineapple farmers who listen to our show have started freaking out about the fact that they haven't kept their records for 5 years, what would you like them to do?
Well, I'd love them to subscribe to the podcast. I'd love them to rate and review us, and I'd love them to check out our Patreon. What's our Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon is patreon.com/thepouchthepodcast, and there's a $3 a month one, a $5 a month one, and a $10 a month one. At the moment, we have one for the $5 a month one, which is nice. If we can get another one person to jump onto that Patreon and make a huge difference, it would double our cash flow, Jake.
Oh, it just sounds fantastic. So please do support the show. Keep the lights on. If you're not down with that level of commitment yet, well then please do rate and review us. It does help us to be seen.
It sure does. And if you want to share the love, you can do so by telling your friends, families, and foes to head to
also the pose.
All the pose, your popos, and the fofos, and the momos to head to thepouchthepodcast.com where they can play Pong for hours on end.
Play Pong with the popos.
They can choose their favorite podcast player of choice and play Popo and Pong that way, Jake.
Yeah. Look, it sounds so exciting. It just sounds like the sort of thing that you could do on a Monday afternoon, frankly.
It does. Or you could edit a podcast, which is nice. All right. Well, we didn't get any good news down the bottom, but that's okay, Jake. I'm okay with that. I'm going to presume that everyone's in a good mood, that we're all celebrating for Victoria today and for the rest of the nation. Congratulations to the Richmond Tigers and to the Melbourne Storm for taking out their respective premierships. I watched both games. It was nearly a nail biter last night, Jake. I nearly bit my nails.
It was pretty close actually, and the women's rugby league was pretty amazing as well.
Broncos won that one.
Yeah, absolutely incredible game.
Yep.
A lot of star players, star sprints. That's fantastic.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thanks for smashing out a good news episode. Thanks to Fred Stokes, our Patreon person. You can head to
Patreon.
Single Patreon. That's all right. We appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go and cozy up. You can't see my background, Jake, but it's a very cozy, one might describe it as a hippie-style chill room.
I love it.
I'm going to go and light some incense and relax on my round bed.
Love it. Fantastic.
All right.
Well, thank you, dear sir, and thank you, listeners.